it's about growing together, and having the ability to grow together and grow through things is the ultimate purpose of relationships. Just giving. When you live in a concept of giving, living in the abundance of giving, then you know what you go through in the relationship really doesn't count, because if you're growing together, then it increases the abundance of the relationship. Now, that's my take on how relationships should be. It should be very selfless, very charismatic. You should be be willing to do for your companion as you would do for yourself. It's a very self-love kind of bond, a sacred unit. When I think of relationships, I think of a sacred unit and a sacred bond between two people, and something that you would cherish and when you obtain it. But not many people take relationships serious. Not many people take it to the. It's very taken for granted in this generation. So the biggest thing is people lack commitment, and cheating is a big thing in this generation as well. Why? I can't say. I don't cheat. But I'm sure you guys have an idea about why you guys cheat. Most people pursue you and lose interest real soon. Some people don't really have interest for you, just pursue you to waste your time. It's many reasons why people do these things, but I'm gonna let Kanisha speak on her parts, the things that she likes and don't like about relationships, and then I'm gonna join in with her, and then we're gonna talk about it. Somebody she can be friends with, somebody she can call on, somebody she can consider somebody who is trustworthy. I mean, trust is a valuable thing that is
taken for granted,
very lightly taken. It's not even I wouldn't even consider it's a fortune that's granted, but it's not taken. It's taken very lightly. So she just wants in relationships somebody who's very considerate, somebody who is there that she can be friends with, someone she can talk to, tell about her day, that kind of stuff.
Yeah. And what I don't like,
her don't likes in relationships.
It's not really much I can say about it. What I really don't like is when the trust is gone. Because when the trust is gone, it's you have nothing, and it's hard to gain back. Trust is one thing that's hard to gain back.
Once the trust is gone, pretty much it's hard to gain back. So if you lose the trust in your companion, your partner, anybody, if you lose trust in the friendship or anything like that, it's going to be hard to stick around. It's going to be hard to stay with that person, because you have no reason to move forward. They broke the bond in which you created to even start this whole unity. So trust is a big thing in which not many people have in their relationships. And a lot of relationships don't have a strong bond from the get-go, and that's why they fell short. Because the key important facts of relationships is really having great connection and communication and understanding each other.
I'm not saying that you can't get the trust back after it's ruined. It just takes time. A lot of time.
Trust takes time to get back. But it's really hard to build, because in the beginning you're really iffy about whether that person's going to be committed, or whether that person even is worthy of your heart or your time. For you to lose trust into somebody who was said they was going to be different, and made all these excuses about how they wouldn't go do this and that, is kind of disappointing, and shortcoming in relationships, because it's not what it's said to be. Relationships really is not what it's said to be or what it looks like on TV. We make the reality of our relationships by the manifestation of our action every day.
They only gave us one boudin.
Mm-hmm.
That sucks.
My take on relationships, my dislikes is how a man or woman, if they're not, caring for the companion, or selfish person, if they're a selfish person, they're gonna always inconvenience you about things about themselves, or they'll always put themselves before you. They'll they'll put their selfish desires, their selfish disdains, their selfish reasons, their selfish excuses before anything in your relationship. They wouldn't consider the well-being of your mental, your physical, your well-being. Like, people really don't care about that kind of stuff. But if you want somebody that you can really grow with, you know, get through things with, you got to find somebody who's gonna, you know, overcome those things with you spiritually, and they're gonna care about you, like, genuinely. I'm not talking about the physical, because the physical don't last. You know, one minute you're doing really good in your life, you're at the top of the mountain, and the next minute you're like at the lowest point in your life. You know, somebody that can go through that hard stuff with you. If they can't get through it with you, baby, you better let them go. Cause I ain't finna have nobody join the mountains with me and they can't handle the lows with me.
That's true. That is very true.
You want somebody who can stick around and, you know, just be there. So
Through thick and thin.
Through thick and thin. I don't know. Like, I think a big thing in relationships. Why do you think people fear commitment, Kanisha?
That's a good question.
Why do you think people fear commitment? You think it's because they've been hurt, or it's what they've seen based on their childhood, or is it the generational pool of the cycle of men and women?
I think it's a generation now. I feel like everybody is doing it because
of what they've seen and experienced. So
and the songs. I feel like the songs too. Some of these songs these people listening to these days is
the songs convince the people into doing the things in which they've done.
Yeah.
So we are the condition and the product of our environment, and we choose to be like the things in which are around us instead of being more than the things beyond us. That's a good one.
Yeah.
So we're easily influenced by the things that go on in the world instead of being something greater and making, you know, a greater world around us. We allow the world to condition us and trick us into believing that these small concepts of how relationships are shown on TV and how they're preached in songs and preached on through other people's perspectives is how we should live our life out. Instead of making a stand and doing what's right for ourselves, we live by society standards and what expectations are for relationships itself. I believe that has damaged a lot of relationships and marriages. The divorce rate has been really high here lately. You want to take your take on that? I heard since Corona started, the divorce rate has got really high. I believe people just ain't been able to see their mistress.
Mm-hmm. Well, yeah. And, you know, I feel like space. You're being cooped up in the house with your partner, and you're not getting space. So that kind of, you know, ruins a person too.
Too much of a good thing, too much of a bad thing ain't good for anybody. You know, you got to have a balance in your relationships. It's good to have space. It's good to have your own personal life. This is why when two individuals come together, they have to learn to grow as an individual themselves, but also learn to grow as a, you know, companionship. You bring in two different worlds together, making one universe, you know, a life. You're making a life together. So just like you have to grow as a person, you have to grow as a couple. So it's like, you got to find a balance between the two. You got to have your own personal life, your own interests, things you're involved in. You know, you got to have your own things going. If you don't have something going, of course, you know, no space and always being together and not being productive, it can be very, you know, terrible for the relationship.
It's a challenge.
Well, challenges help you grow. You know, if something doesn't challenge you, you won't grow. You know, if something keeps you stagnant and keep you in one place, you won't evolve beyond that. You know, you want to get with somebody who challenges your ability to think and challenge your ability to, you know, think about things that you're doing, so you can make better decisions for your life. Also, you know, you want somebody you can reflect off of. You know, like a reflection, because relationships are like mirror projection reflections of each other. So what your companion does is like a reflection of how they feel in themselves, but they reflect it onto you sometimes. So you want to be a reflection of what you want in a relationship by being, you know, a good example of how you want to be treated, but also treat that person in the reflection of how you treat yourself. I think people miss the the most important things about relationships. Just the fact that you only purpose to give, and what you have to give. Well, that all depends on the person and what lies within their purpose and what the reason of that person in their life at that time, that season in their life. Everybody has a purpose and a season and a time for everything. And everybody who comes in your life comes in for a reason. It may last, it may not last. It all depends on you. I believe the divorce rates are very high because the relationship was never built on any foundation of stability whatsoever. People get married one month, and then like 5-6 months later they're divorced. I believe that the relationship they had was on glass, on ice. They was ready to crack anyway. They just did it for the show. They just did it for the likes, they did it for reasons in which did not help them grow as people. Anybody can go to the courthouse and get married. It's all about the effort put into the relationship. You can have an anniversary after you done come up and grow together.
Well, and then I feel like some people just grow apart.
That's true. Some people do grow apart.
You still can be in love with that person, but y'all better off as friends or companions or whatever you want to call it.
Well, yeah. So, sometimes we all change at different points in our life, and some people don't get to that level at point where you're growing, and sometimes that disconnect in communication can put you on different paths and different times in your life. So that person that you're with, you no longer grow with, you grow apart from them. And then everything you talk about and everything that they're doing no longer interests you. So the person no longer interests you. You lose interest in them. And then everything they do and everything they talk about. So that's the only reason why relationships don't grow, because instead of having like couple goals, you're not working on nothing together. It's good to work on things as individuals, but you want to work on things as a couple. Like, how can we help each other break habits? How can we help each other improve our language? How can we help each other? How can I help, such and such, such and such, It's about giving, find ways to make things work out,
Yeah, that's true.
But most people don't live in the frequency of giving. They live in the mindset of, what can I get, or what can be best for now, or, not for the long term, the short term, and shortcuts.
But all in reality, that person has to be your best friend, like literally your best friend. Like, your go-to person.
Right.
For anything. You should be able to be comfortable with your person, with your partner,
Being able to be comfortable with your partner.
It's important.
It's important. Yeah, that's true. It's important. You want to be able to be, comfortable with who you are and what you're doing. You want to feel like, somebody who loves you, care for you, supports you, adores you, and even when you make mistakes, they don't belittle you, make you feel insecure, make you feel bad about yourself. Tell you, hey, as long as you take accountability, that's fine. Try again, next time.
Or this couldn't happen. This wouldn't have happened if,
a companion that's not gonna ridicule you, that's gonna, tell you when you're wrong and congratulate you when you're right. Somebody that's really gonna be there, support you physically, mentally, emotionally, and sometimes financially if you need.
And spiritually.
Did I say spiritually? I think I didn't do that.
That was the first thing you said.
It's okay.
You said a little too fast.
Well, I talk fast. But yeah, you want somebody that's gonna back you and be there for you, and I think people lost the context of what relationships really stand for, because people are so caught up in the music and what's going on TV and the influence and the conditions of their childhood homes and the environments in which they lived in. Oh, I didn't have a father figure, or the things in which they've experienced have allowed them to really believe that we have to stay in such messed up conditions to the point where our children's in don't have any home structure, father growing up in the homes, and these social medias promoting homosexuality and bringing more men away from the homes than increasing. So reducing the productivity of making babies, and it's just a lot against, you know, a relationship these days. It's gonna be to a point where, you know, it's gonna be really hard to move forward in that aspect in the future. It's gonna be almost impossible. I usually don't use words like impossible because I believe in the impossible. But I'm saying the way things are going, it don't seem like it's gonna. It seems like it's not gonna get on the right track. It's just getting worse and worse. We all should be held accountable for our actions. I feel like the world has made it easy for people, made it easy for people to be lazy, made it easy for people to make excuses, but I don't make excuses for people. And the world has found, you know, trillions of ways to allow you guys to be lazy, make excuses, and not be accountable. But for me, I feel like you guys should step up. You know, parents, you know, men, women, relationships, you know, parenting, all this stuff is really important, and it's really starting to impact our people. It's starting to affect our people. It's starting to be a sick illness and a condition of the mind, but also the spirit, and it's starting to be something that we are losing a battle in. So it's starting to become a spiritual struggle for everybody. Also a mental struggle, because the community of blacks, we struggle with this greatly. We need more men in the homes. We need more melanin babies. We need more reproduction. So
Y'all, this food is so good.
it is. This mud bud is so good, y'all. Too bad y'all can't have none. But I just think that this is like a really important topic, and I feel like it needs some light. It needs to be talked about. Now, I really don't like the fact that, you know, people, you know, my biggest thing about relationships is that, you know, people will pursue you really hard and will half-ass commit when they obtain you. You know what? You don't half commit to anything in this life. You know, you pursue something wholeheartedly.